Nancy Groover, the founder of New Moon Girls, and one of our members, Zara, is here to ask a few questions because we are celebrating the National Day of Listening on November 26th, and we're very excited about the possibility of girls who are members of New Moon also making videos or doing writing, talking about a story that's important to them. So, Zara, you have some questions for me.
What is the story from the first issue to the present one?
Well, I'm really glad you asked me that question because when I was thinking about doing this, I got out the very, very first issue of New Moon. What happened was in 1992, my daughters, my twin daughters, Mavis and Mia, who are now grown-ups, obviously, but they were 11 years old. And they were getting older, and I was starting to think about some of the things that had been difficult for me when I got to be that age. And I wanted to do something, but I didn't know what to do to help them stay in touch with who they really are. Because I felt like I kind of lost track of myself when I got to be around that age of 11 or 12, and all the way through, really, until I became an adult. I felt like I was really kind of lost myself. And it was very sad for me and very hard, and I didn't want that to happen to them. But I didn't really know what to do. My work didn't have anything really to do with girls or development or how they grow up. And I didn't know where to turn. And I started looking for ideas and trying to find some things that would help me as a mom. And I didn't really find anything, except I found one book that was called Meeting at the Crossroads. It was a wonderful story about some women who met a group of girls when they were 8 years old and met with them every year until they were 16 and listened to their stories, the girls' stories about what was going on in their lives and what was changing for them, what was difficult for them, what they really loved, all of that kind of stuff. That book really planted the seed for New Moon Girls. It was about the importance of girls and women being able to listen to each other and trust each other and respect each other as girls were growing up. And so that became the beginning of what became New Moon Girls. And I really don't know, still don't know where that idea came from into my head. Just one day, Joe and I, my husband, were on a drive, a long drive, and we were talking about things we might want to do in the future, and all of a sudden, I had this idea, and I just said to him, I said, what about a magazine for girls, a feminist magazine for girls that girls run, that girls are in charge of? And in 5 minutes, I knew that I wanted to do that, and I said to Joe, I said, that's it. That's what I want to do. And so a few days after we got back home, I was talking with Mavis and Mia and one of their friends, Sarah, who lived across the street, and I was telling them about this idea. I said, I've got this idea of starting a magazine that girls would run. And they looked at me like I was pretty much crazy. They said, and this is almost an exact quote. They said, Mom, what do you mean start a magazine? You don't know how to start a magazine. We don't know how to start a magazine. What do you mean? And for part of the conversation, it was just kind of another one of Mom's crazy ideas because they thought I had a lot of crazy ideas. And, but I said, well, yeah, you're right. I don't know how to do it. You don't know how to do it. But let's forget that part. Let's first talk about whether you want to do it. Is it something you want to do? Is it something that you think you would like to be part of, that you think girls need? Is there something, I know my daughters loved to read. They were really, really just loved reading, and they read tons and tons of books all the time. And they also got some magazines that they loved very much. But there weren't too many magazines that they loved. And so they started talking, them and their friend Sarah. They started saying, well, if we had our own magazine, we could do this in it, and we could do that in it. And all of a sudden, it was 3 hours we were talking. All of a sudden, from my crazy idea of a magazine, which none of us knew how to start, but we went on with all these ideas. And then a few days later, they invited a couple more of their friends, and we had a meeting with, we went to my office where I worked, and we met in a room at a big conference table, and we had paper up on the wall, and we were writing up all these ideas that everybody had about what should be in the magazine and what should it look like, what size should it be. I mean, every single thing about what would make a great magazine for girls in their minds. And then the next morning, so we had this long, long list. The next morning, one of the girls who had been at the meeting, who lived a few next door to us, actually, was knocking at our door at 8 o'clock in the morning saying, "Are we having a meeting today?" And when she came and did that, I thought, this is a good thing.